Hello everyone, here we are back for another tutorial of the AW109SP brand new from X-trident. In this tutorial we'll proceed with the system checks and then ground taxing and before takeoff checklist. Okay, so let's move on. We have the shocks on, so firstly we'll remove the shocks by using the menu and let's move inside the helicopter. Okay, so firstly we will start with the system checks. We have the easies, where in the real life you can test that. It is not yet implemented. We will have the hydraulic system check, so we can move the EDU2 page for auxiliary. We have here the My and Utility hydraulic systems, and then for the test we will use the switch of the servo. It is normal. We can move for solve 1 off. So we have the master caution lights on, servo 1 indication, the EDU number 1, and also the pressure of the my hydraulic number 1, it is 0. In the real life you will check your pedals, you will move slowly and you have a little force to apply because the system number 1 surprise the pedals, but the system number 2 don't surprise that. So you need to apply more power. I don't remember correctly, but I think it is about 25 kilograms the pressure you need to apply to the pedals. But it is not impossible to fly. You can fly yet, okay? So we move normal, the pressure will increase again for green dot. Okay, it is green, lights off. We can check the system number 2, the warning light here, the master caution is on, and the pressure is dropping to 0. So let's move again. It is okay. Let's move for the next system. We'll move for main. Okay, we'll proceed for the fuel system check. Here in the fuel management we have the valves 1 and 2 and the fuel pumps, electric fuel pumps, don't forget that, will be on, and the cross valve will be auto. So we'll turn fuel pump number 1 for off. We'll have the master caution, the fuel pump 1 emergency light here in the EDU number 1, and also you can check here in the fuel indication we have crossfeed on. It means that the crossfeed is sending fuel from the right fuel tank to the left engine, so it will be magenta here. Okay, if you turn off the cross valve, close it, you have no indication of the PSI for the electric pump number 1, and also the fuel will not be sending to the left side. It means that the engine will not stop, but you have the mechanic fuel pump working correctly in the left side because the engine 1 is still working. Okay, and then you can move the fuel pump number 2 to off. You have the emergency light, the master caution, and also no PSI in the right side. It means that both electric fuel pumps are off and the mechanic fuel pumps are working. So we still have fuel for the engines, but the electrical system is not on. Okay, so it is tested. In case of any electric pump fail, we know that we'll keep the flight because the mechanic pumps are working. So the fuel system is checked. Now we'll check the electric system. So we'll move here to the auxiliary page. We have the ammeter of the battery. We have the VDC for the battery, the volts, and the VAC for the inverters. So we'll turn invert. Remember, the autopilot 1 and 2 is on, but the autopilot is supplied by the inverters. So if you turn off one of the inverters, it should drop the autopilot of the respective side. Okay, for test. So let's move inverter 1 to off. We have autopilot indication. Inverter 1 is off, autopilot 2 is off, and the master caution is on. And also the VAC is on in both sides because the good inverter can supply both sides. And also you can turn on the autopilot 2 because the inverter number 2 will supply the autopilot, and we have two channels for that. So this is why it is working. So all is good. We move it on, and then we move off the number 2. We'll have inverter 2 emergency light on and autopilot 1 off because for a millisecond where you turn off the number 2, the autopilot lost the supply, and then the number 1 supply again, so the autopilot switch come off. So you can turn on and it is working. Master caution reset, and then the system is checked. Okay, so let's turn on. Now we can test the ampemeter of the pitos. Okay, so the pito we can turn on. We'll have a little increase in the ampemeter. We have 86. Let's turn the other on. We have 89. So it means that both pitos in the nose of the helicopter here, they are working correctly. Okay, so let's turn off because we only turn on if we have humidity in the visual. Okay, so we have a Kawaki day, no problem. Now we'll move for the miscellaneous systems. We don't have too much to test because we don't have anything attachment to the helicopter that is option equipment or something. We have the DMG, but I will not enter in this because it is not possible yet to test. Okay. We'll move for the APMS. We have a test button here, but in this date of the video, I don't have it is not working yet. Okay, so here you can test all the autopilot system, and then we move for FE sync and set. It is synced both. Okay, so if you don't have the synchronization, you'll see in the right side a cross view available. You click here menu, and the FPL button will have a message to synchronize the informations between the right and left side. And then we have a movie map, it is on. You have radios and nav IDs check set, so we can move to the the comms radio. Sorry, we can turn on the ATC or squawk, and also we can move the frequency for some frequency we got from the ATC. We can check out the frequencies here and then move to the next check. So radar, the weather radar here, we can move for standby. Chicas and agatols, so we can turn on the agatols and the HTOLs and TAS, traffic advisor system, and also the FI synchronization here. Okay, it is on. When we move forward for the flight instruments check, so everything is already tested. Check if all the information is the same both sides, having heading 002 here and 002 here mostly, and also altitude and speed will be mostly the same. Altimeters, KNH and cross check, so we have in the right side the standard, left side the standard. perfect, and also the eases are in standard too. And then we move for optional equipments test. So if we have a hoist or a hook or something, it will be usually installed here or some other place. And then we finish with the system checks. For a ground taxing, we will turn off the parking brake. We'll unlock the nose wheel here, and also the land lights. We can move for taxi. And the pedals brake we'll check while we start the taxiing. For taxiing, I will show you how to taxi. Usually we use a little of a collective, just not too much to take off, and then move the cyclic forward. In the cyclic, don't forget, all the controls have a 4-string button, so in the cyclic will be this one. The collective, it is in the bottom side, and in the pedals will be these metal switches. So in the real life you should press all them to work with the controls, but here in the simulator you can configure for only one button. So I will press this and it will release all the controls. Okay, so let's move forward. 4-string release, a little forward, and apply a little more of collective, and the helicopter will start to taxi. And then we test the brakes working, no problem. So let's start our taxi. I will move the EDU number 2 for mine again, and then taxi with the helicopter. Okay, here we are near to the runway, and then we can proceed for before takeoff checklist. So we will taxi for the runway. We will line up with the runway. As we line up, we can brake, and we are ready for the before takeoff checklist. So nose wheel lock, because we can have some shimming the takeoff procedure if we do a rollout takeoff. Parking brake as required, so we are taking off from runway, but if you are taking off from helipad, usually will be on. Autopilot 1 and 2, it is on, both them, no lights. RPM, auto, 102%, so we move to auto. The RPM will increase for 102. We can test that forcing 102 and need to keep, so it is working correctly. In auto, it will drop for 100% after 75 knots. And then when you are approaching, it will increase for 102% again below 70 knots. Okay, so torque limit as required here in the collective. Torque limiter, it will show to you in the EDU number 2 limiter on. And then we move for squawk, it is on. Weather radar will turn on. CAS clear, so there is no warning lights here. Takeoff briefing, perform, and cabin secure. So here we finish the before takeoff checklist, and then we can move for the takeoff procedure that I will cover in the next video. So I hope you enjoy. I hope you understand all my English. I am not so good with that. If you have any doubt or question, please don't forget to send a message in this video. I will answer as soon as possible. I hope you enjoy. See you next time.